All right, how you doing out there in Youth Live Connection land? It's great to have you back here for another month, and really hope that today helps you and inspires you to particularly do something big in your local schools. So I have with me Vanessa, who is based out of Wyong High School, and she kind of does a pretty extraordinary role. She does the school chaplaincy and also the SRC teaching as well. So thanks for coming today, Vanessa.
No worries.
So you do those two roles. Now, I guess for those that are out there maybe watching, there has been a bit of buzz around the start of 2012 and the end of 2011 where the government was actually looking to fund new chaplains in schools and also continue funding existing chaplains. Is that the program that you're part of? Is that the funding you're part of? So the school chaplaincy program?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so I get a lot of these questions, and these questions that come to me are like, what can I do, or how can I get involved? Firstly, there's a lot of youth pastors who are not on full time, and a lot of them see it as an opportunity for them to do two things at once: be in their school, but also find an income to actually, supplement anything that their church is not able to support them with. But I also get these questions about what can I do? Like, is there particular things that a school chaplain does? So what are some of the things that you do? Are they programs? Is it just weekly tasks that you set for yourself? Do you work within a welfare team? All of those things. What are some of those things?
Well, I guess, I do a lot of partnering with the welfare side with my chaplaincy role. There are things that I kind of do that merge the two roles together.
Great.
So I guess, but I have to be aware of that. I mean, students aren't, because the new guidelines with the chaplaincy are quite strict in what a chaplain can do now.
Yeah.
Because I have that freedom with the SRE to be able to bring the God component into the school, because as a chaplain, I'm not able to do that, only if somebody speaks to me.
Okay, so that's pretty good for them to hear that, like to really understand that it's not an SRE position as such, it's a chaplain role, and there are certain guidelines. But do you think that actually limits you? Like, do you actually find that a limiting factor, or do you still find that you're able to reach out to young people anyway?
Oh, not at all. Because regardless of whether I'm a chaplain or I'm a youth worker or I'm working at the hospital, I'm still going to carry the presence of God with me.
Yeah, that's great.
So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, that presence is still going to be there. I think even within this year itself, God's presence and changing the atmosphere in my school has been probably more so known not just to the students but to the staff, but actually extended out to the community because of the things that have actually happened in the school. We've had a couple of crises happen, and I guess because they have gone into the hard basket, it's been handed to me, and it's just been amazing to see how the role of a chaplain has been able to totally bring a sense of calm and peace, and it's only been because it's a ministry of presence.
That's great.
But also having those skills to be able to coordinate practical things like food and water.
That's great.
And lots of things like
so
that.
Real needs, like you're dealing with real needs, and I mean, you are dealing with those practical needs, but at the same time having the opportunity to speak into people's ministry needs as well.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we have many different youth pastors, youth workers. You were saying yourself, you're actually signed up to the Youth Life Connection as well. So there's a whole bunch of different people out there that are getting this video. What would you encourage a local church or local youth pastor watching this video to get involved with schools work? What would you encourage them to do? What would be the steps?
I guess if you're called to youth ministry, then you should be hitting where the youth are. I know that when I used to nurse the grannies in my church, I would hit the nursing homes because I knew that that's where they were going to be. It just it's a no-brainer to me that you should be hitting the schools.
Yeah.
And connecting with either the chaplain or the SRE, doing whatever you can. With my situation, there is an open door. There is actually nothing that I'm not allowed to do in my school.
Wow.
There is so much favour to be able to just invite people in. We'll always invite bands and speakers.
Yeah.
But really just, I guess, getting a heart. I know that just even from the last, from the 6 months and having these crises happen and that they really have put a sense of urgency that for young people to hear the good news.
Wow.
And I'm one person, chaplains are only one person, and while they are in the school, I think that youth pastors and churches should be utilising that, that asset to go, well, we've got a person in there, the door is open, let's get in there. And I think there's so much that you can do. A few weeks ago, I just thought I need to, the message always stays the same, the message is always the same, but just a few weeks ago I changed the vehicle and just thought, you know what, I can't do 1,000 people at one time, I'm only one person, so just going to start doing little connect groups. And so it started off with 5 young people that had been saved at the groundswell up on the Central Coast.
Wow.
And they were still all like pumped, that they're Christians, and so we had our first meeting. I said, look guys, I don't expect you to be out on the quad preaching, but I do expect you to talk to one person and bring one person back. And they each brought one person back.
Wow. That is
so we
awesome.
had 10, those 5 got saved. And then I just thought, well, they've only been saved for 5 minutes, but I'm going to use the same speech and just see how it goes.
That's good.
Basically, in 3 weeks, we had 17 people
What?
saved. And I'm just like, how good is God, that He positions people, that are not in there just to shove the gospel down someone's throat. And it's about meeting young people where they're at, encouraging them. They can't see past the first 5 minutes of their life. So they need people with vision behind them to be able to encourage them until they can get a sense of vision themselves. And so just encouraging them. So now I've got about 6 key seniors in the school that I'm like, this thing in the school needs to run on its own. Like, I should be able to take myself out of the school and still have a ministry that can operate because you're connected to the right source, not connected to me. And so the past week I've been off work and my seniors have just stepped up and like, we're going to pray,
That's awesome.
And I just think it's such a good, I just think the government has set these strict guidelines for chaplaincy, but yet it's a good thing. And then I see how chaplaincy in schools, when it's used the right way to elevate the right name, can just have such a massive effect on
big impact.
And the community. I've just, because of the last 6 months, there's been a few schools on the Central Coast that weren't supportive of chaplaincy, and they, because of the things that we've actually walked through in our school, all were like, we want what Wyong High School's got. And so they each wrote applications for their schools and all were given the funding. So now I'm just praying that God put the right person in those schools.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's such a good thing for God.
So what you're telling me is it's not just one thing or one way of ministry, it's a couple. You've got a groundswell event, which is a big event, and I think then you're saying that then you've gone and taken them, schools, ministries, like scenario, done discipleship, and then you've had 17 salvations in a few weeks. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's amazing, because I think the thing that I think youth pastors need to be, I guess, encouraged about is that it's not either or. It's not, I'll do the big events only and don't worry about the smaller things, or don't just do the smaller things and don't worry about the big events. But it's actually both. It's about being strategic, and I think you used the word that young people can't see 5 minutes past their faith, this present moment, but yet they need people with vision behind them. And I just love that. Hey, Vanessa, I really appreciate your time, and this has been so good. just to see your passion for schools, and I know that is something that is going to help hundreds.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your
No
time.
worries.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Really